Happy Valentine's Day, people. So I'm doing a solo review today, which is a first. But I had the day off, and I figured, it's Valentine's Day. Let's do something a little romantic. Let's go see something that's gonna tug at the old heartstrings. So I went to see Safe Haven, which is the new Nicolas Sparks adaptation. For those of you who don't know, Nicolas Sparks adaptations of the past include movies like The Notebook, which I really love, and movies like The Vow, which I don't so much really love. Oh, oh my God. This was a movie. Of course, all the films I see are movies, but this one, this was a memorable film, which I gotta give it points for that. But basic synopsis is there's a young woman who flees the town she's living in for reasons you don't quite know, but they involve a bloody body and a knife. And she ends up in a small town where she meets a charming, older, single dad, played by Josh Duhamel. The woman is played by Julianne Hough. And they fall in love. But then her past might come back to bite her. Pretty simple plot, but simple plot doesn't necessarily mean it won't be good. The Notebook has an incredibly cliched and simple plot, and it's one of my favorite romance movies. This movie, though, fails on so many levels. So many wonderful levels. Basically, here's the issue, and I'm not going to go into spoilers. I'll warn when I go into spoilers, but the movie for the first half is just incredibly boring. You are literally watching characters buy paint and talk about bikes. And I get it's supposed to be like small, quaint town living, and I appreciate that fact, but it's not very entertaining to watch, and there is not enough charisma. There is no chemistry here. This is it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough watching the interactions for the first half of the movie. And then something happens and it gets better. So if the movie is a graph, we've got it's kind of, oh yeah, this is all right. And then something occurs and the movie gets interesting and we're like, oh, this is kind of fun. And then the ending happens and it goes shooting down into the ground like a fucking dart. It's so hard to review this without spoilers. But basically, the first half is really boring and dull. The second half, it gets better and certainly more entertaining and a little bit more surprising, which I did appreciate. Other things I liked about this movie, I like Josh Duhamel. Josh Duhamel. He's pretty much... when Timothy Oliphant doesn't want to star in romantic comedies, he's who you go with. Those two should play brothers one time. That'd be awesome. But yeah, he does a good job. I like him as an actor. I didn't think Julianne Hough did that good of a job. I just found there wasn't a lot of charisma there to hold a movie. I don't know if you can really blame her for that, if you blame the writing, if you blame the story, if you blame the dialogue, but just not very entertaining to watch. Nothing that drew you in, which you kind of need for a leading lady in these types of movies. It was sort of like, if you've ever... When you see a lot of like teenage actors, and I'm not trying to give a dig at teenage actors, but there's this sort of this thing where they try and play it tough, like by reserving emotion, because they don't want to overdo it, and what ends up happening is they always just look like someone trying to play it cool, and it comes off across as not very interesting because they sort of have this one consistent face or emotional level throughout the whole film. Maybe that's just the character. The character had a fucked up backstory, albeit, but that's really what it came across as, which is rather unfortunate. But whatever, I didn't expect to like the movie, so I'm not too pissed that the lead actress wasn't very charismatic or interesting to watch. The best actor in the movie is the cop. Oh my god, this cop is amazing, and I'll talk about more of him later, but he does a great job. And there are two nagging issues that I feel a lot of people will latch onto when they watch it, and I can't talk about them, but they get resolved. Here's a big way to explain it. You're watching it, and there's something that bugs you, something you're like, well, why is this character acting this way? It makes no fucking sense. Later on, it'll make sense. There's two twists in this movie. Count them, two. The first one, when it explains why a character's acting stupidly, or their existence in the movie is stupid, when they reveal the twist, it makes sense, and it leads into the movie becoming way more awesome. The second twist is fucking retarded. With all due respect to mentally challenged people, that word should be changed to the definition of the end of this film. It is so... I haven't had a reaction like this while watching a movie since I watched Matthew McConaughey receive a blowjob on a piece of fried chicken. I could not believe what I was seeing, and it happens right at the end, and it is so great because of how terrible it is. I don't think the movie's worth seeing just for that, if that intrigues you, but oh man. Oh man. And one last thing I'm going to say is why, I kind of thought about this after the theater, is why is it that some Nicolas Sparks movies, and by some I mean two and really only one, can be so great? Because I love The Notebook. The Notebook is one of my favorite movies. I think it's incredibly well done. The other one that I kind of liked was Walk to Remember. It's not as good, but I do like the film. And then there's other films like The Vow, which was just really boring and had no surprises or anything. I can't remember a thing about it. And then there's this movie, which was really boring and immemorable for the first half, and then the second half was just batshit crazy, which is almost better than just being boring the whole way through. But either way, two very bad ones. And is it a difference in directing? Is it a difference that the stories just aren't that good? Because let's face it, The Notebook is a fairly cliche story. We've seen how many times have you seen the story about the poor guy and the rich girl and the parents don't approve, but they're going to try and fight it anyway? But there's so many great performances in that movie. Like, everyone was at the top of their game in the way they delivered it and the way they shot it and the music. And so when the lines came across that in other hands might not have been as effective, they still hit where you felt like, oh my god, this is so romantic, or like, oh, this is so sad. Whereas in other movies, like this one, when they say their go-to lines, it's just like, So I think a lot of it has to do with casting, maybe. My point of this rant is, if you feel like going to see Safe Haven, go rent The Notebook, or Walk to Remember. Or fuck it, go rent Casablanca. That movie's amazing. Anyway, Babe rundown. There's no one. I guess I would pick Josh Duhamel. Can I pick him? Yeah, I'm gonna pick a guy. Josh Duhamel's the babeliest babe in this movie. If I had to pick a girl, I'd pick the chick who plays Robin on How I Met Your Mother. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. It's very bad of me. But yeah, she was kind of cute. Yeah. And final verdict, I'm going to give this movie 1.5 Nicolas Cages out of 5. This movie is Ghost Rider, but more entertaining than Ghost Rider, I should say, because of the ending and how dumb it gets. So if you'd like to find out, if you're not planning on seeing the movie, if you are planning on seeing the movie, don't watch the rest of this. But if you aren't going to see the rest of the movie and you'd like to find out why this movie's so fucking crazy, stick around.